Started in October of 1970, and it started in 258 Park in Bedstuy, Brooklyn. It was founded really by a bunch of different blocks that, you know, played basketball and hung out in 258 Park. Tompkins, Hancock, Hawsey, Jefferson, Macon, like a lot of those boys. Even Troop Avenue on my block. We all knew each other. Warlord's turf consisted, the base was really 258 Park. But from 258 Park, from Hawsey and Tompkins, it went west only 2 blocks up to Sumner Avenue, now Marcus Garvey. And then went west all the way up to Franklin Avenue. Our turf also went across Fulton Street up to Atlantic Avenue. More northward, it went all the way up to Gates Avenue. We weren't all over in that radius of that zone. You know, we only went over there unless we had to. We mostly were in the 258 area of Bedstuy. Warlord colors were yellow and blue. Yellow rockers with blue letters and a red broken heart with daggers going from left to right or right to left. Some even had daggers going down the middle with blood drops. We wore fur collars. Not all of us, but a lot of us wore fur collars on our jean jackets. Some of us had strings, shoestrings, white shoestrings tied, laced in the jacket. Really no bandanas. Some guys did wear red bandanas, but really wasn't really like part of the colors. You know, if you wore it, you wore it. If you didn't, you didn't. And that's what the colors are. Really, until I talked to some ex-warlords not too long ago, that division that I was in, that, like I say, that started October 1970, but sometime around 1971 there was another division of warlords that started further down past DeKalb Avenue, even past Flushing Avenue on 2, that started, and they got permission from some of the higher ups in the warlords to start that division, but we really never had no interaction. At least I didn't have no interaction with them, but we did know of them, and so that was that. Our first enemy was the King Cobras from out of PS305 Park, and we was going to make it our business that we was going to roll on them, which we did, and we really didn't have any other enemy at that time, but we borderline turf with really 5 other games. We borderline turf because we were really close to TNT Bachelors. We were really close to them. and we were also close with 113 Hellcats. But we did have each other's back. As far as sad memories, we had an incident with the fire department that didn't turn out good. One night we were up in Hellcats 113 territory. We was on the corner of Halsey and Sumner, maybe about 10 of us. We were, hitching the back of the B-26 bus. We jumped off at the corner of Halsey and Lewis. So we're in Hellcats territory. And the fire department came, and, we was standing there on the corner of Halsey and Lewis, just looking like everybody else. Some of the Hellcats recognized us. They come over, they talk, it wasn't no big thing. And somebody threw a bottle at the fire department, at some of the firemen. And they looked over there at us. It didn't come from us, though. It did not come from us. And the fire department took them hooks, those hook poles that they be carrying, and they charged at us with them. So we kind of dispersed. Then when we realized like they was really coming for us, we started getting, garbage cans, lids, all kind of bottles, glass bottles, anything we can get. So we go back up to the corner, and we started throwing it at them, like, taunting them and shit. So they grouped together again, and they charged us. So we dispersed, but none of us really had weapons on us, and cause we were just hanging out. And so one of our guys, which was named Spook, he got caught. They caught him, and they started beating him and holding him. And we was, like telling them to let him go, and they was aiming them at us, them axes and everything. So, it kind of kept us at bay because we started surrounding them. And the police, 79th Precinct, that was in our district, they came and they grabbed Spook and they locked him up and took him to the 79th Precinct. Once we, realized, like, oh shit, they got Spook, we gotta, march on the precinct. So we went and got some, more of the rest of us, some of the surrounding blocks, and we off to the 79th Precinct. When we get there, we can hear noise coming from like the ground. 79th Precinct, which was on the corner of Gates and Troop, had windows like level below the ground. So we could hear this noise, we could hear this hollering, and they was in there beating Spook with rubber clubs. He was hollering, crying and hollering, and we went up to the door of the precinct, and we was telling them, like, let him go. He didn't do anything, and police told us to get off the the precinct steps, and we wouldn't move. And next thing, like a couple of minutes later, like, I guess all the cops that was in the precinct just came out, and they bum rushed us off the steps. The racial makeup of the warlords were mostly black. We did have a few Puerto Ricans, maybe about 5 to 10 at the most. We had other brothers from Jamaica, Cuba. I'm sure there was some Haitians that was in there, but mostly was blacks, probably most like the southern roots at that time, because mostly Bedstuy back then was mostly black. But we did have Puerto Rican families that lived, different locations, in the vicinity. A couple of guys from the islands also. We did have one white boy. He was real cool. He was a Hancock warlord. His name was Carl. He also knew martial arts. Carl was 100% authentic being with us, I believe Carl was probably the only white guy we had in the warlords. Nobody messed with him. His family was a holdover from, I guess, the 1940s, 50s, whatever, before Bedstuy became all black. Yeah, Carl was real cool. We didn't let nobody mess with him. Plus, you mess with him, he liable to whoop your ass. So Carl was the only white guy that we had in the warlords at the time. Talking about deceased members, man, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of guys that are not here no more. But I'm going to just go with Trooper Avenue warlords. The leader of Trooper Avenue warlords was named Darnell. We call him Knot. And he's gone. T, he's gone. Booby, he's gone. Fast Ed, he's gone. Brothers Rodney and Ramsey, they gone. Man, it's a lot of guys that are gone, man. You know, and I haven't seen a lot of these guys in years. The ones that may even still be living, I haven't seen them in years, man. How long the warlords lasted? Well, first of all, the warlords broke up because we got hot. I mean, the 79th precinct was on our asses. They had names. They was even going around taking Polaroid photos of different members, including myself. So, and what it was, that you had guys that who weren't even warlords that was going around in the neighborhood doing things, saying they were warlords, and the police were thinking that it was us, and it really wasn't. Even my name got out there saying that I did something, and they were looking for me, and I had no idea. I think I was actually in school that day when whatever occurred. I think it was a robbery or something. So the warlord's name had got hot, you know, in 1972. And then we had youth counselors. They knew a lot of the boys. There was two twin brothers, Mitch and Mel, and they knew a lot of the boys from youth activities, from in 258 Park, you know, basketball tournaments and handball tournaments and things of that nature. So they knew a lot of us boys, and when they realized that we were all a gang, you know, they would always talk to us like, you know, why be a gang? You know, we shouldn't be a gang. It's not good. You know, the usual stuff that older men tell, you know, a bunch of young teenagers. And so they would set up a meeting in 1972 with a young Reverend Al Sharpton, who was some kind of youth movement or whatever his thing was. So we set up a meeting with the warlords on the corner of Horsey and Troop by our tag that was on the brick wall there. And so most of the warlords from the different blocks were there because there were so many of us out there. They only really wanted a few of us across the street to talk to Al Sharp, because he actually got nervous thinking that, you know, we were going to do something to him. And they was talking this, you know, peace stuff to us. So the church on the corner of Troop and Macon Newman Memorial, you know, they had an after-school center, and they were very aware of the boys that were gang members, and they had already heard about us. By that time, we had already had beef with 113 Hellcats, and they was trying to make peace with that beef. And so they set up parties, dances, and I remember a big dance they set up, and which was like in our names, the sponsor, and things like that. But Al Sharpton, we wasn't really feeling him. A lot of us wasn't really feeling him. I wasn't definitely feeling him. You know, like we were gang members, you know, like, you know, when be telling us not to gang, you know, and the violence and stuff. I mean, we didn't really want to hear that. Out of that meeting with Al Sharpton in 1972, some of the other blocks started to cave in, like Tompkins Avenue warlords, Macon warlords, Halsey warlords, Jefferson warlords. A lot of these different blocks started to cave in, and, you know, wanted to call it quits. So that was the beginning of the breakup. But not all blocks stopped banging under the warlords. Troop Avenue did not stop. The blocks I was from, Troop Avenue, we didn't stop, and neither did Hancock, and neither did some parts of Horsley. Also, New York Avenue, Fulton, and Herkimer didn't stop either. So we still had enough, even though some of the blocks quit after that meeting with Al Sharpton. Then too, we were really on the radar with the gang unit from the 79th Precinct, and they was targeting guys. You know, they was putting it out there, put the word out. We gonna get this one, we gonna get that one, and you know, saying that they had cases on us, that, you know, what we would have been involved in. It was just a lot of stuff. We were really hot with the warlord's name, so we stopped. We would eventually stop. I think around it was in 1972, but I'm trying to figure the month. We might have stopped maybe around, maybe even October of 1972. So it was maybe like a whole 2 years the warlords lasted. You know, it didn't last long. We came, we went. You know, guys went in the military, some guys went in the Marine Corps, some guys went in the Army, some guys moved away, you know. But there was still enough guys, you know, to start another gang, which we did. As far as preparing me personally for the Army, a lot of guys, when the warlords started, some of the older boys were like already in 1970, were already like 17 and 18. And a lot of them only maybe had 1 year in the warlords, maybe went in the Army like 71, got drafted or whatever the case may be. And the other boys, we stepped up. But as far as preparing me for the military, going into the Army, it was the structure, you know, the chain of command, the physicality of being in the gang, you know, the fighting, challenging each other, boxing, you know, doing martial arts. As far as, again, preparing for the Army, you know, getting chased by the cops, he was constantly running. Like I say, you know, we was always like boxing and jailhousing with each other, and you know, those of us that knew martial arts, like myself, you know, we was, you know, would practice. We would go up on the roof and shoot guns. It just gave you a structure that, you know, who was in charge, those who were in charge, and those who were, you know, just soldiers. It helped me, prepared me when I went to the Army. You know, I mean, I'm physically fit. I mean, it was a breeze for me. The story of the warlords. I want to thank the brother King Klast for helping me tell my story. You know, I have a lot more to say. I was in 2 other gangs. The third gang was very major, really one of the biggest gangs in Brooklyn. But as far as the warlords, that was really a startup for me. You know, just in Bedstuy. I actually was in the gang when I was in the 4th grade, called the Baby Flames. But yeah, I was like 10 years old when I started really gang banging, and so. But I want to thank King Klast for telling my story. You know, my name is JoJo. You know, on Facebook at EOJ Bman. Peace.
Bye.